Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Madison. I am the social media manager for the Continuing Committee, and today I am recording an unboxing video for this, the official tournament sealed deck for first edition Star Trek customizable card game, CCG. Official tournament sealed deck, also known as an OTSD. So occasionally we have tournaments called OTSD events in which each player receives one of these boxes, and it's a sealed event. You get one of these boxes, you open it up, there's some packs inside, you build a deck using the cards in these packs, and then you get to keep the box. So, figured this would be a good place to start an unboxing, give you some idea of what comes in this, and what it might look like to build a deck using these cards. So, I'm going to go ahead and open one of these up. Here we go. So first, each OTSD box comes in one of 6 different colors. It has a random affiliation flavor on the box cover, and that has no bearing on what's actually in the box. We have, well, it's Bajoran. We have a Bajoran deck box. That does not mean there's going to be Bajorans in the deck. Actually, I don't think you can get Bajorans in the deck with the cards that you get in these in this card pool. But that's just for aesthetics. Hey, cool! I've got this neat little Bajoran box to use to store my cards in. So let's see what we've got in here. We've got a little insert here, packaging. We've got 4 packs of Premier. This is the very first edition set. And then we've got 1 pack of Alternate Universe, which is the first expansion. And we have this 20-card fixed pack, which every OTSD comes with one of these packs. So we're going to open this up. We're going to open this up first because I'm gonna show you all the cards in this. This was pretty ingenious. This is the way that that makes the sealed format work. That these 20 cards basically were designed to allow you to play all the cards in your box, no matter what they are. So I'll show you. We'll go through them. So here they are, but we'll start with the dilemmas. Let me pull those out here. So we've got 5 dilemmas here. We've got unscientific method, make us go, Armus sticky situation, abandoned ship, and Hippocratic Oath. And these are all really good filler dilemmas. I mean, not filler dilemmas, filter dilemmas. Most of them. This one is a filter dilemma, this one. They all tend to, these 3, they filter out like a specific skill. This is a abandoned ship is one that affects damaged ships, and then yeah, Armus is a filter as well, stopping or possibly killing the strongest member of the team. These dilemmas, these 5, first, these are here so that to make sure that you have enough dilemmas, because you might not get that many in your booster packs. But also, these 5 dilemmas are stronger than almost all of the dilemmas that you'll find in those packs. These are really good dilemmas, and they're always worth playing. So we're going to set those aside. We've got some missions, because you've got to make sure you have enough missions. And there are 6 of those. And they are explore interstellar matter, test propulsion systems, establish relations, Impose Order, Investigate Incursion, and Mineral Survey. And all of these missions are universal. You can tell they have this little diamond icon next to them. That means that they're universal missions, not unique. So if both players are running them, they don't overlap. They count as separate missions. They can each be solved independently of the other. They don't count as the same location. They are separate locations. And of course, these are here just in case you don't, well, for starters, in case you don't get enough missions in your booster packs. This ensures that no matter what, you have 6 missions. But these are all relatively simple missions to attempt and solve as well. And they have fun little abilities as well, like the propulsion systems. If you solve this, your ships are +2 range for the rest of the game, so you can move through the space line quicker. This one here, if you solve, you get to download a non-aligned personnel. So search your deck, find a non-aligned personnel, put them into play. This one here, Mineral Survey, if you solve this one, you get to draw 2 cards. So, good stuff. So those are the missions. We've got 1 personnel, because, you know, got to make sure you've got enough personnel. This is Sunnah. He's non-aligned, so anybody can use him. And he's got security, medical, treachery, all skills you might need, stuff you might be lacking in, especially the medical. But also, once per game, he can download Reflection Therapy, and that is also in here. And basically, Reflection Therapy allows you to change a skill on 1 personnel to another skill. So if you're really find yourself lacking in a really needed skill, or if you're not finding the skill you need to get through a dilemma, then this can help in a pinch. So that's why that's in there, because, you know, some of these card pools, you might not get all the skills you want when opening these packs. We've got the Darmok, which is a non-aligned ship, because, again, you got to make sure you have ships, and this is a ship that can be used by all affiliations as long as you have a non-aligned personnel aboard, which we've got at least 1. And it also allows you to select, when reporting, what special equipment the ship has on it, whether a tractor beam, a holodeck, or a particle scattering device. So, very versatile ship. Not very fast, only a range of 7, but it's decent. It's a good mid-sized ship, and if you're really hurting for choices, then it's a good one to have in there. We've got an outpost, because, again, got to make sure you have an outpost. Got to make sure you have a place to report your ships and personnel. This is a Huznok outpost. This seeds at a non-aligned location, so you need to make sure you have a mission that can be attempted by non-aligned, that has that icon on there. Of course, I think there's 1 or 2 of the missions in this pack has that icon, so you're good to go. You can seed a Huznok ship here, so you can start the game with it and play. That is, if you get a Huznok ship, it could show up in the packs, but it might not. But yeah, it's a decent outpost. Again, it's non-aligned, so any affiliation, no matter what you end up playing, you'll be able to report. We've got, to make sure that all your personnel can work together, you'll get a random mix of Federation and Klingon and Romulan personnel, but there probably won't be a whole lot of any particular affiliation, and it's very difficult to make a deck work with just 1 of them. So for that, we've got Open Diplomatic Relations, and this is a card that you can seed right at the beginning of the game, and it allows you to seed a treaty. So you can start the game with a treaty in play. And it does a couple other things, but that's the main thing you're going to be using it for in OTSD. And to go along with that, we have the Federation, Romulan, Klingon Treaty. So you can seed this at the start of the game using Open Diplomatic Relations, and all 3 of your affiliations can mix. All of your cards can mix, work together, attempt missions, and be one big happy family. However, if you are playing with this card, you may not attempt your opponent's missions. That's very important, is if you are running this card and you allow your personnel to mix, and your ships personnel, whatever, if you allow them to mix together, you will not be able to steal your opponent's missions. You'll only be able to do your own. So something to keep in mind when you're building your deck, deciding what you want to do. You may get lucky. You may find another treaty in your initial packs, maybe one that's just 2 affiliations, and you might find that those 2 affiliations are enough, and you won't need the 3rd one, and you can try stealing your opponent's missions. And so that's what you'll have to decide as you go along. We've also got a doorway here called Spacetime Portal. This is a great card to seed at the beginning of the game. This will allow you to seed and play any cards with an alternate universe icon. Now, you're only going to find those in the alternate universe pack, but this makes sure that whatever is in there, you'll have a way to play it. You might have some alternate universe personnel. You might have alternate universe dilemmas. Could be an alternate universe ship. Whatever it is, you'll be able to play it with this in play. We have a space door. This seeds at your outpost. It could be your Huznak outpost or some other outpost. While this is on your outpost, instead of your card play, there's a few things it can do, but the most important one is that in place of your card play, you can download a universal ship that is compatible with your outpost. So if this is on the Huznak outpost, you can download a ship of any affiliation as long as it's a universal, a non-unique ship. Really great. You don't know how many ships you're going to get in your card pool. You may have trouble getting them into play. You're stuck on that I only playing 1 card per turn and then drawing 1 card per turn, and oh my god, how long is it going to be before I can draw a ship? Well, you don't have to worry about that with this card because you can download your ship whenever you want. As soon as you're ready to start moving through the space line, you're good to go. And the neat thing also is that this is the first edition card that was double-sided. So when you download that ship or you activate this space door, you flip it over, and it is now closed. And it has a totally different set of... Focus in here. Has a totally different set of text, which my camera doesn't want to focus on. But it's neat. The space door closes. It does something totally different while it is closed. And you can... Oh, here we go. And you can discard a card from hand at the end of your turn if you want to flip it back over to use it again. So, great card. Very powerful. Good way to get your ships out into play. And then finally in the fixed cards we have Hide and Seek. This is one of the first Q cards, not counting the Q Continuum set itself. This is a card that can be used as a dilemma or an event. Normally these Q icon cards can only work in a Q Flash side deck, a Q Continuum deck. But this one specifically says that it does not require. You can actually seed it as a regular dilemma, or you can play it as a regular event. So this is usually in the OTSD, it's going to be used as an extra dilemma, and it's a very good dilemma. It's another one that can filter out certain personnel and stop some people where other people pass through, and then it makes it more difficult to face the next dilemma. So there you go. There are our 20 fixed cards. Like I said, every OTS box will come with these 20 fixed cards. So now it's time to get into the booster packs. So we'll start with our first Premier pack, and these are going to be random. These are white border cards from the very first set. So these are random. So this is the thing we have to. Here's where we have to figure out what we're going to build. So here's our first pack. So our first card in here is Metaphasic Shields. So that's we've got, if I remember right, I think the 3 uncommons are on top, and then the rare, and then all the rest of the cards in the pack are common. So we've got Metaphasic Shields, and this is an event that comes into play, and it can boost your ship's shields. We've got Nuduk, which is a Klingon personnel with a couple of rare skills, archaeology, exobiology. Those are a little more different to come by for a Klingon. We've got Alexander Rashenko, who is Worf's son there. He's a Klingon personnel, but a Federation. Well, Klingon species personnel, but Federation affiliation. Skills are not great. Just civilian, honor, youth. Might not be that great in this format. But. And our rare in this pack is a mission. It's a survey mission. It's Klingon only. It's 35 points. Pretty easy if you can get those two skills. It's just stellar cartography and physics. However, those are skills that are not often found within the Klingons. But, you know, we may get lucky. We may find them in the non-aligned personnel. We may find them in the Federation personnel and be able to use a treaty. And then, of course, there's always that reflection therapy to change skills when needed. So, there we go. So that's, what else we've got here? We've got a small ship here, a non-aligned ship called the Zybalian Transport. We've got a Klingon outpost. There's our first outpost. That's nice. So far, some decent Klingon stuff coming up. You can run this in addition to the Huznak outpost, so you have multiple locations on the line where you can be reporting stuff. We've got Klieg here, who's just a Klingon with honor. Pretty, I don't know. These guys are kind of a dime a dozen. So if you're really hurting for honor, he might have to go in there, but he's not that great on his own. We've got a mercenary ship, so another similar to the Darmok from the fixed cards. This is a pretty mid-sized ship. It's got a range of 7. It needs two staffers to fly it, and it's non-aligned, so anyone can end up using it as long as you have a non-aligned personnel aboard. And hey, look, a non-aligned personnel. Here's Narek, and he's an engineer with some computer skill, and that's about it. Now we're looking at a beefier ship here. Here's the Romulan Deridex, which is so these are the big Romulan warbirds. So this is a bit faster than the ones we've seen so far. It has a range of 8, weapons of 9, so very powerful. It does need a command rank personnel and 2 staff rank in order to fly it. But the really cool part is it has a cloaking device, so you can hide this ship, you can make it invisible while it flies around the space line doing whatever it wants to do. So it's pretty valuable. So far we haven't come across any Romulan personnel yet, so don't know how well we're going to be able to fly this, but that's kind of nice. And here's another big ship. This is the USS Galaxy, which is the prototype of the Galaxy-class ship that... you know, the Enterprise D that we know and love is this class. So another one with a range of 8 and needs 3 people, a command, and 2 staff icons to fly it. Instead of a cloaking device, this ship has a holodeck, which would be nice if we get any hologram personnel in these packs, which could happen. You need a place to be able to play them, so that's a possibility. We've got Crom. Crom is an engineer with only 1 skill, but that skill is physics, so he might be useful for that survey mission that we found earlier in the pack. Asteroid Sanctuary is an interrupt that you can play on your ship to prevent a battle against that ship. Here's our first Romulan. This is Talos, just an officer with leadership. And Space Dock. This is kind of nice. You can play this on your outpost, which allows your ships to instantly be repaired if they are damaged and if they stop at your outpost. The neat thing about Space Dock is it actually works well with Space Door. Space Door can download a Space Dock just like it can download a universal ship. So if you stock this in your deck, you can pull it out later with the Space Door when your ship gets damaged, and you're good to go. So that's our first pack. We're going to move on to our second here. Our second pack of Premier, the first uncommon is Tybok. Or Taybak, I don't know how you pronounce this guy. He's a scientist, a Romulan personnel with science, and he's got 3 skills: treachery, biology, computer skill. Treachery is pretty common among Romulans. Biology, not so much. Computer skill, everybody kind of has a little bit of computer skill. So it's fairly decent. If we end up playing Romulan, he's a good personnel to have. Our next in the uncommons is a dilemma called Portal Guard. This is a pretty solid dilemma because, you know, Well, with a maximum of 30 seed cards, you want to run as many dilemmas as you can. So, I mean, they're probably all going to get used, but this one's actually a pretty decent one. It says, unless at least one away team member has cunning greater than 7 or honor, the entire away team must abort mission and beam up or die. So that can kind of hold people off for a little bit. We've got Fleet Admiral Shanti. Pretty basic admiral. She is unique, but she only has officer class, leadership, and diplomacy. They tend to be fairly common skills for Federation, but sometimes there's dilemmas or missions where you need a lot of those skills, so it's kind of nice. And then we've got Shelby from The Best of Both Worlds. This is our rare for this pack. She's a Federation personnel. Officer class. She has leadership and exobiology. Whoops. I'm dropping them. Exobiology is a little... Excuse me. Exobiology is a little bit rarer on an officer. You tend to find these on medical personnel, so it's kind of unusual. We've got a Universal Federation personnel here. Moving into the commons, this is McKnight. Officer, navigation, youth, and music. Youth and music don't come up a whole lot, but navigation might be nice. We've got Dukoth. He's a Klingon scientist with the fairly rare archaeology as his only skill. Here's our first equipment card. This is the Klingon Disruptor. You could use this to have all your, if you have a Klingon or non-aligned personnel in your team, this will make everybody strength +2, which will be good for some mission requirements, could be good for some dilemmas. Here's a dilemma called Archer. Archer will kill somebody in an away team unless they have security and medical. So this is already an idea for a dilemma combo. You could put this after Hippocratic Oath, which is one of our fixed dilemmas from the 20 card pack, which actually filters a medical personnel out of the team. So if you filter them out, hopefully they won't have medical to get past this, and then somebody gets killed. We've got Jadan. Jadan has science, exobiology, and treachery. We're getting a lot of Klingons. That could be a good sign. Static Warp Bubble. This used to be a really brutal event card back in the days when Premier was the big set, the main set out there. This is an event that plays on the table, and it forces your opponent to discard a card before they end each turn. So they discard this, and then they have to. Well, they still discard before they draw. So they never get to the point where they don't have a hand at all. But still, discard a card every turn. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna limit their options. So. We've got Sealock. This is a Romulan personnel, just a VIP with treachery. For the Romulans, treachery is like the Klingons with honor. They have a ton of it, so you get a lot of those. Here we have the USS Excelsior. This is a pretty well-known ship, but this one is universal because it's like the prototype for its class. It's a very slow ship, only 6 range, so maybe not your best choice, but if you're really hurting on ships, might be a thing. We've got a non-aligned personnel called Dr. Farrak, and he is a Ferengi species, but his greed skill is not used too often, but he does have medical classification, which is very important. So you can. I think you can never have too many medical in any of these builds. It looks like we're finishing up with 2 Klingon ships. We've got the Kavort and the Vorcha. Both of these are very strong ships. The Kavort has a cloaking device and an 8 range and only requires 1 staffing icon in order to fly it. The Vorcha, but its weapons and shields are quite low. They're 6 and 6. But a fast, cheap ship is always a plus, and it cloaks. And then the Vorcha is sort of the this is a big attack cruiser. This is sort of like the Romulan Warbird. This is like top of the line for the Klingons. This is a range of 9, weapons 8. This is their battleship. And it does have a cloaking device as well, but it requires 3 people, a command icon, and 2 staff icons in order to fly it. So it seems like we're pretty well stocked on ships. And a few decent personnel, but mostly a lot of personnel with just like 1 or 2 skills, and you're gonna find a lot of those in these packs. So we're gonna get to our third pack. All right, so we're starting out with, on the third pack, we start with Distortion Field as the first of the uncommons. These are generally not that great. This can play on a planet location, and every turn it flips over. While it's face up, it prevents beaming to and from that planet. I think there's even a mission, one of the 6 missions in the fixed pack allows you to play this card on it for free. So that might be kind of nice, but otherwise I'd say it's not very strong. We move on to Vag. Vag is a Klingon governor. VIP, diplomacy, and anthropology. So only a couple skills, but a little less commonly found on Klingons. I don't think we've seen those yet on them. We've got an interrupt here. Distortion of space-time continuum. Any one ship and its away team may immediately make another move. So this is fantastic. This is a card that can let you, if you get stopped by a battle or stopped by a dilemma, you can unstop yourself and go again. Something like that, anyway. And, ooh, we've got a very strong dilemma in the rare slot. Barclay's Protomorphosis Disease. This one is brutal if it goes off. It's worth 10 points if you actually manage to pass it, but you need medical science and security, and if you do not have those, your entire crew dies. They just die. It just wipes them all out, except for androids, but how many of those are you going to see? So, yeah, very... very strong dilemma. That's a good one to draw. Moving into the commons, we've got Subspace Warp Rift. This you place across a spaceline location. Any ship passing over here without stopping is damaged. Generally, these are not worth the card play because it may slow your opponent down to pass these places, but it also slows you down because that's 1 less personnel you're playing on that turn. However, you could run a strategy of just mucking up the spaceline with all these roadblocks and obstacles, and I don't know, could work. We've got Klingon Right of Vengeance. This is an interrupt. It says if a Klingon is killed in an away team battle, all other Klingons present may immediately reattack with double strength. So if Klingon personnel battle is something you like to do, then this might be the card for you. Otherwise, it's fairly limited. Here we have an espionage card. This allows your Romulan personnel to attempt a Klingon mission. So hopefully you get enough of each personnel and missions that work for you that you don't need these espionage cards, but if you're really struggling to get mission attempts happening, if you're struggling to find the right personnel, then these may help you in a pinch. And we've got a QNet, again with the plan of mucking up the space line. The QNet you place between 2 locations, and no ship can pass unless they have 2 diplomacy aboard. This one is actually pretty strong in OTSD because sometimes some card pools are going to be hard pressed to find enough diplomacy to pass this. So you could do a pretty good job of locking people out of certain missions, but if they can't come up with enough diplomacy to even pass through the net to get where they want to go. Don't worry, we've got another espionage card. This one allows Romulans to attempt Federation missions. So Romulans are pretty well set here. They can attempt whatever they want. We've got Darian Wallace, just a security personnel with anthropology. We're getting into some common missions. This one's pretty simple. Relief mission, only needs geology or physics to solve. However, it's only 20 points, so might not be worth putting into your deck, but cheap mission, cheap points, who knows. Study Plasma Streamer, we've got a space mission here. This one only needs 2 skills, Astrophysics and Youth. We've seen a few Youth people so far, so this might be decent. It's 30 points. Another one here, Covert Installation. Whoop, stop dropping them. This one's 35 points, and only needs Engineer, Leadership, and Treachery. I don't think we've seen too many Engineers, and I'm not sure about the Leadership, but Romulan Treachery, you get a ton of that. We've got a dilemma here, Phased Matter. This can split an away team up into 2, and force 1 to be left behind unless you can find Engineer and Science to cure it. And then here's our treaty. This is the first treaty we've come across, other than the fixed one, the triple treaty. This one's Romulan Klingon. So if you play this, we could seed this with open diplomatic relations at the beginning of the game, and if we just want to run Romulans and Klingons, then we can use this treaty and we can still attempt our opponent's missions. So might be worth it. We'll have to see by the end of this what we have. All right, getting into our last pack of Premier. And the first uncommon in the pack is Talk. Talk is a Klingon personnel, civilian, leadership, computer skill, youth. Whole bunch of skills, not too bad. Haven't seen any real skill beasts, and you don't really find that many in Premier unless you find like Enterprise Bridge Crew. There's not a whole lot that have more than 3 skills. We've got a strong dilemma here. Shaka when the walls fell. This requires 2 diplomacy and cunning greater than 30 to pass. Remember I told you how diplomacy was a little hard to come by and sometimes made it difficult to pass QNets in OTSD? Yeah. If they don't have diplomacy, they are not getting through this dilemma, and it's going to be very tough for them to solve missions if they can't get past dilemmas. We've got Hannah Bates. It's just a Federation scientist with physics. You always want to have science, so she's decent. Her skills aren't great, but like I said, you need to make sure all the classes are represented. So you want to have your science, you want to have your medical, you want to have security, engineers. And our rare is an artifact. This is the Tox Utat. Unfortunately, this is probably not one that's going to get used, because this allows you to play a supernova later, which can destroy lots of things, everything, like a mission, everything on a mission. I don't remember. I haven't played that in so long. But you need to have both cards, and they're both rare, so I don't think we're going to be able to make this work. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, there it is, the Toxutat. I've got an interrupt here called the Escape Pod. This might be handy in a pinch. If your ship gets destroyed, then this will save all the personnel aboard, and they can get picked up by another ship passing by later. They can pick them up and save them. So if you make a mistake or something and your ship gets into trouble, yeah, save your people. Veril, here's another Romulan personnel with 3 skills. Science classification, physics, computer skill, youth. Not too bad. Here's a very strong interrupt in this format. Polartov, alien trader. This allows you to get any non-personnel card back from your discard pile. So if you have a card that's really working out and it gets discarded, then you can get it back, whether it's a ship, maybe a strong interrupt, or an event that gets nullified. Whatever you need, except for personnel, you can get it back with this guy. Loss of orbital stability. This is another interrupt that's very strong in this format. This plays on a ship at a planet location and basically says that it can't move for 1 turn. If your opponent's only got 1 ship in play and they're at a planet, this freezes them for a turn, where they otherwise would have been trying to fly, attempt missions, whatever. This could basically cost them a whole turn for the cost of 1 interrupt. And the real neat thing is if you combo this with Polartov, you can freeze them for a turn, play Polartov, get it back, play it again on their next turn, and they're stuck for a while. Here we've got the USS Miranda. This is a very small ship like the Excelsior. It's only a range of 6, but it only needs 1 staff icon to fly it, so a small Federation ship. Got an equipment here, the engineering pad. This gives all of your science classification personnel the skill of engineer, which, gotta say, is probably going to be useful. We've seen a few science personnel in this pool. I don't think we've seen a lot of engineer yet. So that might actually have to get played. We've got Mendon, Federation personnel with science and physics. See, we're seeing a lot of science and a lot of physics. We're not seeing too many engineers, I don't think. Here's a dilemma card, anaphasic organism. This will cause a female member of an away team to get killed unless they have security and medical in their team. So another one where you want to try to filter out some of those personnel so that they can't pass this one, and then they end up losing somebody else. Particle Fountain is an interrupt that can score you 5 bonus points if you have 2 engineer when you solve a planet mission. So it might be nice. Unfortunately, we're not getting too many engineers. We've got Divok, who is a medical with biology and youth. Klingons with medical are rare. This is a nice card. Even with only 2 skills, you want to have that medical. And finally, we have a Starfleet Type 2 phaser. Just like the Klingon Disruptor, it's something that gives all of your personnel strength +2. But you need to have a Federation or non-aligned personnel in your away team in order to activate it. All right, so those are all of our Premier cards. And so we're going to go into our last pack. This is the Alternate Universe pack. If I remember right, I think this works the same way. It's 15 cards. All the uncommons are on top, and then the rare is below it, and then just commons. So our first uncommon here is Odger. Odger is a non-aligned personnel with security and a special skill. It says, once per game, if alone with archaeology on a planet, may destroy all but 3 seed cards there at random. That's pretty nice if you compare this to some archaeology. Note that Odger does have this alternate universe icon. Again, my camera doesn't seem to want to focus, but yeah, that little red icon. So you would need a space-time portal in order to play her, or possibly an alternate universe door if we get one in the pack. We've got an alternate universe interrupt. There's the icon again. This is Wolf. Saves a personnel with empathy who has been randomly selected to die or be captured, or nullifies Barclay transporter phobia. I hate to say it, but this is a really limited card and is probably not going to get used. Alternate Universe did have a lot of interrupts that were really niche and were not very powerful. So sad to say that's probably going to be one of them. We've got a dilemma. This is actually a decent one. This is Edo Probe. This forces a player to choose whether to abandon the mission attempt that they're on and prevent them from attempting it again until any player completes another mission, or they could keep going with their mission attempt, but if they fail at this turn, they lose 10 points. So this is actually a really popular dilemma still in Constructed, but could be decent in OTSD. We'll see. Our rare is a very strong Klingon personnel, Governor Worf. This is the future version of Worf from All Good Things. He has an alternate universe personnel. You can see he's got that little red icon. He's got loads of skills. Now, they're all fairly common Klingon skills: honor, navigation, leadership, security, but diplomacy. But just the fact that he's got so many skills on one personnel makes him a very strong card. We've got Fire Sculptor. This can remove from the game a card that's in a discard pile, or move a Plasma Fire or a Warp Core Breach onto an opponent's ship. Not, again, one of those limited use interrupts that probably won't see play, but could be interesting if someone decides to try it. We got Vulcan Nerve Pinch. This is used during a personnel battle. And really only works if you have Vulcans or androids, and I don't think we have either, so unfortunately that's not going to work for us. Thoughtfire. Here's a dilemma. It's got an alternate universe icon. It's only going to work if your opponent is affected by the Traveler Transcendence. However, if your opponent does have the Traveler Transcendence, they will probably play it because it's very strong. It's a card that allows you to draw an extra card every turn. So, this is one of those dilemmas where we're going to have room for it. We're going to use it anyway, and maybe you'll get lucky and it'll work. And if it works, it could kill a lot of people. It's very strong. But if your opponent doesn't have the Traveler, it whiffs. It just does nothing. Here we have the interrupt with the really long, unpronounceable Hawaiian name. It's Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua, I think. It's the name of a fish. You can use this as an interrupt to play at any location, and at that location, for one turn, your personnel with youth get a cunning and strength boost, and your opponent's non-aligned personnel get a cunning and strength penalty. So another one that's situational, but in the right situation could be good. We've got a dilemma here called Hidden Entrance. This is what we call a wall dilemma. You have to have certain requirements to pass. If you cannot pass it, it will go back underneath the mission. That Shaka When the Walls Fell was an example of that. So this one requires either Geordie LaForge or an engineer and a cunning greater than 32. So not as easy as it sounds. Geordie LaForge is rare, so not a lot of people are going to have it. You might find a few engineers, but we haven't had very much luck finding them, so let's hope we don't face this dilemma. Ferengi attack, another dilemma. This kills an away team member of the opponent's choice, unless your total cunning plus strength are greater than 68, or unless you have greed, which you might have greed. We have greed. We got a Ferengi with greed, so we would pass this pretty easily if we've got Dr. Farrak in our team. We have a neutral outpost. This seeds only at a space location, but it is it's neutral. All affiliations can use it. So again, this now gives us a third outpost in which to report personnel to. So that's pretty good for us. And hey, we have the alternate universe door. This basically very similar to the space-time portal. It allows you to play your alternate universe icon cards. So now we have two different ways to do that. It has a few other uses, but that's the primary use. Jamaharon. This is another very limited interrupt. This can nullify Horgon, nullifies parallel romance. It has a third effect if the planet Ryza is on the space line. Yes, it's not something it's probably not going to get used. Interphasic plasma creatures. This is a pretty tough dilemma. It requires 2 science or mind meld, and if they fail it, it plays on the table. It doesn't go back onto the mission, but it plays on the table, and it becomes an event, and it permanently lowers the strength of all your personnel by 2, unless you have a way to remove events. This could be pretty nasty. And then finally, we have a dilemma called Hunter Gangs. Planet dilemma. This picks 2 personnel at random, and it kills them if they have an odd-numbered cunning. But if they're even, then they skate through it. And that's it. That's all we got. That is our card pool for this OTSD unboxing. Let me know if you liked this video. If you did, I may make another one where we take this card pool and break it down and build it into an actual deck for the seal format, and we'll explain why we make the choices we do and what we decide to put into it and why, and see. We'll see. But hope you liked it. Like I said, I'm Daniel Madison. I am the social media manager for the Continuing Committee, and this has been our OTSD unboxing. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.